Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. Glad to see you guys all in here. We have Weather Tracker, we have Indiana, Blue Chip, as well as Pez all in the stream today. And also Sam, too, in disguise, at least. But yeah, we're going to go right ahead and dive on into this. Here's the thing. So I start the live stream and everything just got downgraded to normal severes. You saw me switch to Radar Omega over here to look because I saw it on my other monitor. Pretty much everything with the exception of the northern severe has now been downgraded as it's been extended. So, I mean, hey, that's not the main thing we're going to talk about. So that's good news. Let's go ahead and switch right on over to our main scene. It's normally what happens. So glad I could go live so that way everything gets downgraded for us today. That's the goal. That's the goal. Start up the live stream and everything die out. Main thing we'll be talking about in this stream will be the potential for an MCS, maybe even pushing a derecho tomorrow, as well as a potentially a tornado outbreak in North Dakota. So 2 different areas. Where the heck did my epic pin go? I kept that thing up for a whole like 2 hours and it's gone. I'm going to wait for it to pull up. Yeah, so tomorrow did uptrend quite a lot in the east central side of the United States. We'll go ahead and pull up that outlook for severe weather. We do have a slight risk for severe weather out here in Pennsylvania and Ohio. If the scenario that I see currently, now it's going to change, it changes a lot, but currently it looks like we'll be dealing with an MCS to a potential derecho, kind of like what we were dealing with yesterday. However, yesterday didn't exactly play out in South Dakota and Nebraska. The main area impacted would probably be in Ohio and western, maybe even into central Pennsylvania as well. I do think this slight risk needs to go a little bit more northeast, and I do believe we will see an enhanced risk tomorrow. Today was a 50-50 on if we'd see an enhanced. We did see convection earlier today up here, which actually took out some of that instability. The capping didn't lift as fast as expected, so today's severe threat did go down quite a bit on the models, but there is still a risk for some significant damaging winds, some large hail out in this area today, and maybe even a brief spin-up tornado. Now back to tomorrow for North Dakota, South Dakota. Personally, I don't see why they didn't put a 5% tornado risk here. This morning we had a less than 2%. However, they did do a afternoon update and issued a 2% chance for tornadoes in North Dakota, South Dakota. Personal opinion, I think this needs to go at least 5%. We'll go over all the models, the ingredients. Everything looks really good for this threat. Our chaser Connor Croft also said that he believes a couple tornadoes will be possible tomorrow, and they could be they could be extremely interesting storms, semi-discrete supercells. So it could be quite a big threat for severe weather tomorrow. But if we don't see the tornado threat tomorrow, damaging winds and especially significantly large hail will be the main issue. So you're looking at damaging winds of 70 miles per hour, hail up to 3 inch in diameter, and a couple of tornadoes possible tomorrow in North Dakota, South Dakota. Back over to the northeast risk, just so I can repeat it. I do believe we're going to have an MCS track throughout most of that slight risk area and a portion of that marginal risk, probably starting out here in northeastern Indiana and tracking all the way through Pennsylvania, into New Jersey, Maryland, and then eventually off the mid-Atlantic coastline and into the Atlantic Ocean very late tomorrow night. Currently, no tornado threats forecasted. I really agree with that. I don't think we'll see much tornadic action tomorrow with the line of damaging winds, but I do think damaging winds will be the biggest concern by far, and I think we'll see a hatched risk. There's kind of different ways they could do this. They may put a hatched risk in this 15% chance, or they may upgrade this to a 30% enhanced risk, or they may do both with a 30 hatched enhanced risk like we saw yesterday. So there's a lot of different scenarios of what may happen for tomorrow's risk for severe weather in terms of how significant that damaging wind threat may be, but we're at least looking at a line of strong to severe storms tomorrow at the minimum. Hail won't be an issue. When those storms first fire, we could see up to an inch, inch and a half in diameter out in northeastern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, maybe even into central Ohio, but it doesn't look like anything notable for hail or tornadoes. The biggest concern is definitely the potential for an MCS to derecho. Now, whether or not this gets, whether or not we see a derecho tomorrow, it's all going to come down to how long the line lasts. So, say our line forms in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it lasts towards New Jersey. That's 600 miles, which would classify it as a derecho. So, it's just simply going to depend when and where the storm fires, if it actually is a derecho tomorrow. Regardless, our models are really, really, really starting to uptrend with a line of damaging winds that tracks from, like I said, Indiana, Ohio, all the way to the coastline. And we'll see how that plays out. Keep in mind, we're still a day out here. We're probably not, but just 24 hours out from storms firing for tomorrow's threat, which is still, right around a mark of a day. We'll take a look at your new HRRR, which uptrended quite a bit. I believe the 18Z. Yeah, so this is your 18Z, which really had a nice fizzle of storms, pretty much nothing. And then 18Z is what really went crazy on tomorrow's severe threat. And this line would stay significant, strong to significant throughout its entire lifespan. The HRRR portrays it as pretty weak. So 18Z does look like a pretty significant line of damage winds, like I said, forming in Indiana, Ohio, all the way through the whole state of Pennsylvania, Maryland, into New Jersey, Delaware, and then moving off the Atlantic coastline there. And if we go back to 12Z here, I want to look at the instability department. So instability, you can see here at 12Z, we have about the minimums like 500 to maybe 800 out here in Western PA. 18Z uptrended ridiculously on that. Now shows, let's see, 3,000 instability out here. The minimum being 1,500. So massive instability uptrend there on the 18Z HRRR. I do want to note this for tomorrow's threat, 18Z, this is just a common ordeal. 0Z and 18Z of any model runs are typically more inaccurate, so you do want to take it with, not nearly as seriously as what, the 12Z and 00Z can sometimes say. But I want to use an example. For instance, today, we're currently dealing with a line of significant damaging winds approaching the Detroit metro area in Michigan. We'll use model runs from yesterday for this example. So it's currently, we'll just round it to 5 p.m. Okay, here's the radar site at 5 p.m. This is what the radar looked like at 5 p.m. across Michigan, which is 21Z. That is 21Z, at least in August. We're going to We're gonna have to redo the whole Zulu chart once we. What are we doing? Are we pulling back an hour or going forwards an hour? I don't know. I wish they'd get rid of that stubborn thing. It gets on my nerves because you have to rememorize the whole entire chart of the Zulu table there. So let's go to yesterday's model run for today, all the way to 5 p.m. So this is what the 00ZHRRR last night thought we would be dealing with 30 minutes ago. And big difference between yesterday's model run for today compared to what we're actually seeing or what we saw 30 minutes ago. So you do want to keep in mind these model runs. They could definitely be inaccurate. Keep that in mind very, very frequently. Always remember that models are wrong frequently. Very early this morning, this is what your HRRR model run looked like for 5 o'clock. About 8 a.m. this morning, it still wasn't picking up on it. We could go to around noon today. It started to pick up on it, but still not nearly as bad as what it actually was. Model run in the late afternoon hours, so pretty much when the storm was really getting going. And then, of course, your one of your newest model runs where we're pretty much at now. So it still isn't doing a good job. Even the newest run, the 20Z, it still isn't doing the best job. You can see we have let's go to the current radar. You can see we have a line of severe storms all in here in southeastern Michigan, convection on the southern side, and even a strong to severe storm on the north side. If we go back to that HRRR model run, you can see it does have that line of strong to severe storms, the convection on the north side, and it has nothing on the south-southwest side. So the whole point in that ramble was just to tell you model runs are not as good as you may think. They're not as good as you may think. And the NAM model, well, the NAM just never showed a thing. it never showed a thing. It still wants a, let's see, we did get a new one. I haven't looked at this. This is 18Z. It wants nothing for tomorrow, but 12Z did have that west moving MCS. See it? It still had it on there with a south-southwest moving MCS for tomorrow. Not nearly as potent as what it was yesterday, though. So we'll see with what happens for tomorrow's severe threat. There's really two outcomes, which is we have a lot of morning convection and cloud cover, which completely demolishes tomorrow's severe threat, or we have a line of significant damaging winds. And I'm definitely leaning towards a line of significant damaging winds occurring, or else I wouldn't have mentioned it. I'm pretty confident on us seeing a line tracking from Ohio, Indiana, all the way through a good chunk of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. And then let's go ahead and look at some models for the severe threat up here in North Dakota, South Dakota. Let's see if we can push it forward here. So we're going to start seeing storms initiate tomorrow out here in North Dakota, South Dakota, right around 6, 7 o'clock Eastern. Pending on the severe threat in the mid-Atlantic, we may be live as early as 3 p.m. Let's hope not, but we could be live as early as 3 p.m. pending on how significant the threat is. So we'll probably see storms fire up generally in this area around 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow Eastern time. Those will grow up, upscale rapidly into a line of probably supercells, semi-discrete supercells across North Dakota and South Dakota. The NAM model shows a bit more of an interesting threat. It keeps it quite more discrete. You can see we have a discrete cell up there, discrete storm here, and then kind of a little cluster on the south side in central South Dakota. So the NAM does show a different scenario. Taking a look at the ingredients, instability shouldn't be an issue. We have a fully primed area for instability. Now it does show a capping. However, I don't think that capping is going to be an issue. Models are probably overdoing that. I don't think that's going to happen. Tornado ingredients on supercell composite here for tomorrow evening. That's a 5, which is pretty good. You can see it's the scale right here on a scale from about 0 to 35. So we typically look for anything greater than green. So 2, 3, and especially 4 plus. That's when we start talking about tornadoes being a possibility. But this is just a supercell composite. It doesn't show the whole story here. We want to look at wind shear. We have wind shear in the lower levels, mid to upper levels. We have wind shear, supercell composites there. You have instability. It is a little capped. 0 to 3 kilometer cape. It's present. 0 to 3 kilometer cape isn't that crucial for tornadoes. And then if we go to the NAM, because unfortunately the HRRR doesn't have this, we can look at our mid-level jet stream, and we definitely have that. You can see this very large neutral. Actually, I have to zoom out to see if this is negative or not. Yeah, looks mostly neutral tilted here from north to south, trough ejection, and that's going to allow for a lot of forcing, of course, a cold front to be present. That's also going to help for a lot of ingredients to really, really be able to move rapidly up northward. We were thinking there was going to be a instability, a lack of instability up here. Because of a high pressure that was set to build in over this area here. You could still see we have kind of a broad ridging going on here and a weak high pressure in place, but it's not going to be enough to inhibit, a bunch of moisture from surging northward. So I don't think instability will be an issue. I don't think capping will be an issue, and I bet dew points won't be an issue either. Nope. Dew points will not be an issue. Temperatures won't be an issue. So it's probably going to come down to storm mode in terms of how significant our tornado threat may be for tomorrow. Will these fire messy? Will they fire discrete? Will they fire in a line? It just depends on how cells fire there. Now, the orientation of the trough mixed in with the other ingredients, it does favor more of a semi-discrete mode at first, and then rapid upscale growth into a clustery linear mess. So we'll probably have a 2-hour window of a decent tornado threat in North and South Dakota for tomorrow. I want to go back and look at these storms. Yeah, they're all now just normal severe thunderstorm warnings. So that is good news. There is still 2 considerables. We have one out here for Goodland, but the extension is a normal severe. And then this is still considerable, but the storm's moving, over the water now. It's moving over the Great Lakes. For the tornado threat tomorrow, yeah, definitely want to focus on the Dakotas. That's going to be the best opportunity for tornadoes tomorrow, as well as very large hail. In terms of damaging winds, this area definitely has a better shot from what I can tell on model runs. So if you want to, chase 70, maybe even 80 mile per hour winds, go to this area. If you want to chase some tornadoes and probably break your windshield, go up in this slight risk area. I don't think tornadoes will be much of an issue in this area from Ohio to Pennsylvania, New Jersey. And if it is an issue, it will be brief spin-up tornadoes like we had, or like the potential we had yesterday, where we just had a bunch of little areas of rotation along our line in South Dakota, but I don't believe any of them actually dropped a tornado. On Thursday, no, I'll be out and I'll probably be out and about chasing. It does depend on the timing too. There is some uncertainty on the timing of severe weather in my area, as well as severe weather in Iowa. So it just depends. Typically, our severe threats up here in the Midwest, a lot of the time they're actually in the evening hours. The Mid-Atlantic, that normally depends off of the sun completely. So I'll probably be able to chase Thursday from, I don't know, like 2 p.m. all the way to, say, near 6 p.m. And then I'll probably attempt to hop on for live severe weather coverage up here in Iowa and Minnesota. All right. Let's go back to those severe storms in Michigan. See if they're trying anything. We'll go over to our analysis radar. Yeah, there's definitely some pockets of significant damaging winds that might be able to sneak in here. So Detroit, this is probably going to be right for Detroit. Detroit will likely see the worst damaging winds out of this line here. Maybe slightly more like this. This seems to be our strongest storm inside this line currently. That's going to be moving right through the northern metro area of Detroit, Michigan. Do you think that slight risk for will be for Lincoln, Nebraska on Thursday? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Actually, hold on. Give me just a second. I should probably check where Lincoln, Nebraska is. Oh, yeah, you're a lot more east than I thought. I'm not even going to lie. I thought Lincoln, Nebraska was like here. Yeah, you could definitely be extended into that. I apologize. I thought you were more like really far to the west. No, you could definitely be inside that slight risk for severe weather. You could definitely be put inside that slight risk. It looks like, for now, at the moment, it looks like a very low but still present tornado threat, some isolated large hail, and most specifically, significant damaging winds. It looks like a big wind bag at the moment. Now, that might change. We'll see. But for now, it looks like a really big damaging wind bag for Thursday. Which, I mean, pretty much all these threats we've been talking about, most of them have been primarily damaging winds. That's just typically what we see this time of year, so no shocker there. Let's see here. Should I be worried about tornadoes this week? No. No, girl dev. Tomorrow, you do have a marginal, and I don't think we'll see anything Friday. Watch me be completely dead wrong on that. Let me go look at... Yeah, Friday looks very messy for tornadoes. The biggest tornado threat I see over, like, the next 4 days is tomorrow in North and South Dakota. Everywhere else looks like a low-end, conditional tornado threat for all of our other risks. If you do manage to get in on some strong to severe storms tomorrow, the primary threat will definitely be large hail and isolated damaging wind gusts. We just got a severe storm in northeastern Missouri. We're starting to see storms pop up out here in Wisconsin and Illinois. Those are firing a little bit early. What, like a whole hour and 30 minutes early? Yeah, we really weren't expecting cells to fire up here till closer to 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for being a member for 6 months now, Storm Dakota. Much appreciated. Thank you for the kind words as well. Glad to have you in the community. Very unrelated to severe storms. But I do have to show this because it is possibly the most impressive storm structure for a typhoon or a hurricane outside of Beryl we've seen this year. This might even be one of the most impressive typhoons in quite a little while. Probably no more than, like, honestly. I gotta try to think back. When was the... I swear we had a very impressive typhoon earlier this year, but this one... is extremely impressive. Very large eye out here in the far southwest side of Japan. These are, this is in like islands of Japan, not the mainland. And Twitter being Twitter, they're calling this Dorian 2.0 because the eye is so large, and it actually does have a similar look to Dorian. If this convection was a little bit more up to the north, closer to like here, this would look a lot more like Dorian, but it has a really, really good look to it. Honestly, typhoons are impressive so often, this might not even be like the most impressive typhoon this year. I can't even remember. All I know is this looks impressive. That's all I know. Beryl was the most impressive storm so far we've had in like global tropics in terms of looks, and this one's not yet to that level. Beryl was Category 5 with sustained winds, I believe, maxed out at, was it 170 it was maxed out at? This is currently a low-end Category 4 with winds sustained at 130. I believe the sun is beginning to rise in this area here. Yeah, you could see the sun's starting to hit our typhoon here. It has a really, really good look to it. Very large eye. Very large eye. It also has mesovortices inside the eye, which is typically associated with extremely strong hurricanes or typhoons. The Western Pacific is just built different. It's always had crazy typhoons. Every single year, I swear, I keep saying it's the most impressive typhoon I've seen. Because I forget just how impressive these typhoons have been. They're always becoming more and more impressive. Current millibar inside that is a 932 as well, which is very low. It is very circular. Unfortunately, the sun's taken a little bit too long. It's taken a little bit too long, so we won't have, a perfect view of the eye. Its peak intensity on satellite looked to be around 17Z, which is right around here. And now that the eye's starting to wobble, and it's nearly stationary as well. I mean, look at this. It's nearly stationary. That might be another reason why people are calling it Dorian 2.0. It is moving at probably no more than 3-4 miles per hour. I mean, over the last hour, it doesn't even look like it's moved an inch. Really impressive typhoon there. So, like I said, we're starting to see storms fire up in Illinois, Wisconsin. I don't know if we're going to stay live to cover that. They shouldn't be that significant. We could have some isolated significant wind gusts up to 70 with these storms, but we shouldn't have anything very, very notable with them. Also, something to note that I forgot to note, we do have a fairly strong lower level jet for tomorrow's severe weather threat in South Dakota and North Dakota. We'll have a lower level jet, possibly upwards of 60 knots. So we'll have a widespread lower level jet stream of 40 to 50. So tomorrow should be a pretty big day for severe weather, and might be a big day for tornadoes. Thankfully, that will be in North Dakota, South Dakota, which is a relatively, it will be in a relatively rural area. I believe there's about 100,000 people under the gun for tornadoes tomorrow at the moment. Yep. About 100,000 people inside this 2%. So I imagine if we do get a tornado tomorrow, it's going to be a very well-documented one, depending on how many chasers are heading up there. But I know at least 5 chasers that are going up there for tomorrow's severe threat. So like I said, just to do an overview really quick of both of these risks once again. This risk, primarily damaging winds, very small hail, and I wouldn't fully rule out a spin-up weak brief tornado as that line formed somewhere out here. And then in the slight risk in North Dakota, South Dakota, damaging winds, extremely large hail, possibly up to 3-inch in diameter, and a few tornadoes will be possible. And we might even have a strong tornado threat. The ingredients are favorable for it. It's just a matter of storm mode, which is something that ended up helping to underperform our high risk earlier this year. We had a high risk in Oklahoma. The ingredients were off the charts, and the reason why that underperformed just slightly in the high risk area was because the storm mode was a lot more messier than expected. Now, tomorrow's ingredients are by no means high end, but they're up there. They are up there. Probably some of the best ingredients we've seen in August. I'm trying to think of a better severe threat. It would have had to be in early August. Do we have a notable tornado threat in early August? I'm going to go all the way back and see. See if we had a notable tornado threat in early August that's like this setup. Maybe the Minnesota tornado outbreak. Yeah, the Minnesota tornado outbreak on August 5th. That had some pretty good ingredients and a really good environment with it. So probably the best ingredients we've seen since that tornado event, which was 22 days ago. By the time we go to tomorrow, 23 days ago. No, Indiana is for the damaging winds up to 70 and some isolated small hail and maybe a spin-up tornado. Maybe a spin-up tornado in Pennsylvania, Ohio. We did just get a 60% chance for a severe thunderstorm watch to be issued out here. That includes Caleb. So in Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, we've been talking about this for quite a little while. I mentioned it quite a few times yesterday. They didn't upgrade that to enhanced because it's just, there's not a lot of certainty on these storms being significant. Let's see. A watch issuance will be possible within the next hour or two. 60% chance we see a watch. Let's see. Hail and damaging winds will be the main concern. If we can get a storm to fire, actually, we already have a storm there. There is a favorable environment for tornadoes in southern Wisconsin, northeastern Illinois. I wonder if it's still there. It was there an hour and a half ago. It's still there. There is a very small area right here favorable for a tornado. And I wonder if we could get something to try to spin up in that. That's like the only area we have wind shear today. That's the one place where we have some decent effective bulk shear. And we might be able to see some spinning storms out there, but not anything widespread. I just wouldn't fully rule out a brief spin-up tornado there. Why did they downtrend? Yeah, I have no idea. It's just HRRR being HRRR. It depends on where you are. I don't know exactly where you are. LWX24. I imagine you're somewhere here. Maybe. Maybe somewhere up here. Since you said storm's already popping off. Let's see. Oh, further south. All right, let's see this zip code. I'm going to be super far off, aren't I? Wow, we've actually had a lot of people in this area. I know like 6 viewers from this region. That's interesting. That's an interesting spot. Not an area I've looked at for severe weather today. Let me go ahead and take a peek at some ingredients. Geez, a lot of instability, so if you're going to see anything, definitely damaging winds. See what risk you are in from the SPC. General thunderstorm risk, so you're not in any notable risk from the Storm Prediction Center. So I wouldn't fully rule out some damaging winds if storms can get to you. Which that might happen later today. Best chance would be about 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Central. It doesn't look notable or anything that's like, nothing that I would chase. Not something that I would chase. Just looks like some thunderstorms with, you could see a gust possibly up to 40, 50. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't rule out some thunderstorms probably just after 7 o'clock Central. ARRR was going crazy for me. Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty on where storms will fire. There's so much instability. That's the difficult thing about summertime forecasting. Storms could, well, I didn't even notice those were there. Storms could pop up at any second, anywhere in the area of uncapped instability. And the area that's uncapped is ridiculous. I mean, we have like this full area of just instability sitting there, and storms could fire anywhere in it at any time. They're also moving all sorts of directions, too. They're moving all sorts of directions. Like the storms to your south, they seem to be moving west, if not nearly stationary. The storms to your north are moving northeast. The storms in central Illinois into southern Wisconsin are moving southeast. And then we have storms in Wichita, or I should say north of Wichita in central Kansas that are moving dead east. So they're going every which way. This is College of DuPage over here. This is College of DuPage, their meso-scale floater. Which I don't know if is there one? There's none over Missouri, but we could do the localized sector. There you go. I mean, that's a pretty good storm firing south of you right now. You can see how they're moving every which way. These are, honestly, these are kind of stationary. These are moving east. It's off your screen, but there's storms up here moving east like this. This is the best satellite imagery I have found, is College of DuPage. There may be better out there, but this is the best I've seen. Hold on, am I reading that report right? Maybe I'm not. I swear I am. That's a report of 39 mile-an-hour winds, right? I'm pretty sure that's a 3 and a 9. My monitor's far from me. I like to keep them a little far, except for my left one where chat is. So I can't really see the tiny number too well. It wasn't a smart idea to get a desk with the further away monitor. I need it to be easier on my eyes. Yeah, exactly, Kevin. I haven't seen a report for 39. Oh, well, there's one for 37. I swear, we don't get reports like this in, like, often at all. Typically, they have to be, like, 58 plus. So the fact we have a 37 and a 39 right here, that's really weird, y'all. I have not seen that. Or maybe I just don't pay attention to them. Extension of a considerable severe. Looks like it's going to stay north of the Detroit metro area, which is good. I did see you said one other thing. What is the threat for me tomorrow? Let's see. I imagine there's not much. You are in a marginal risk. Let's see. HRRR. Thunder, just ordinary thunderstorms. Garden time variety thunderstorms. Garden variety thunderstorms. It looks exactly the same as today. Like, literally the same area sees storms fire, and they move right towards your area. So, pretty much this time tomorrow, you should see storms firing off to your south. They will have a better chance at producing damaging winds and maybe some very small hail. Definitely don't count on you seeing storms, but there is a better chance tomorrow than today. There is currently... Let me get a new update on the power outages, but there was over 120,000 people without power in Michigan. There's almost 200,000 people without power in Michigan. Michigan, I guess y'all's power grid ain't the best when it comes to strong to severe storms, because you guys are struggling. You are struggling big time out here. Almost 200,000 people without power from... there's been some significant storms, but the majority of them were low-end severes. Let me go to your power outage map here. Look at all those power outages. Look at that. That is a whole lot of power outages for just some slight storms, some slight risk storms. This area did have a line of significant damaging winds, and then we did have some significant storms in this county too. But the majority of this area was just normal damaging winds up to 60-mile-per-hour winds. And then we still have Twin Cities is still struggling over here. Almost 30,000 people still without power there. Additional 8,000 to the county to the east. So still struggling with power outages in Minnesota. That line in Wisconsin wasn't significant last night after we ended the stream. And we did not see anything happen, to my knowledge, in this region here last night. It just looked like normal thunderstorms. I didn't see anything significant, so yesterday's risk did underperform considerably for damaging winds. Which, that happens, that happens quite frequently. You're not always going to have risks play out. That's happened twice this year. This area has dodged 2. This exact area. I remember we had a massive enhanced risk over, like, this whole area here. And we were looking at 90-mile-per-hour winds in this area, but it ended up happening in Omaha. And I believe we actually had 100-mile-per-hour winds on that day. And yesterday, we were looking at, 80 to 90-mile-per-hour winds in this area, and we actually didn't see 80-mile-an-hour winds anywhere. So this area has dodged 2 damaging wind bags. These storms are trying to get their act together here. They don't look that impressive. The southern one's looking decent. Yeah, looks like they're having a bit of trouble sustaining their updrafts here. I don't think they had... Did they have 2 MCSs? The power outages I saw, seems like most of them were from the first MCS. Okay, Detroit's now in a significant severe for 70-mile-an-hour winds. That doesn't surprise me much at all. The terminal radar's not picking up on much, but the main radar site is. You can see this area of potentially up to 70-mile-per-hour winds, and it is going through Detroit. It is going through Detroit. There's a damaged wind report of 2 large trees down. South Central Wisconsin... do you think I need to be worried if storms moving in overnight? I'll keep an eye on the weather, just wondering how late I'll need to stay up. I don't think Wisconsin's in the risk today. Or not, wait, what? I'm sorry. Brain fart. Wisconsin's in the risk today. I just think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. Most of the storms will stay off to your south from what I can tell. I recommend watching closely till 7 o'clock. Give it another hour. 7 Eastern. Keep an eye on it for another hour, and then you should be good to go. No, my brain is not braining today. I apologize. I guess it's got to recover from the 4-hour stream yesterday, but normally it's not this bad. Normally it's not this bad. And then tomorrow, you don't have a risk for severe weather. And Thursday, nothing as well. Maybe you could see some isolated storms Friday, but hopefully the risk will skip over you. In my opinion, Kevin, it looks like the front's like right here. This looks to be where the front's located. So, where's the MCDs on this site? Yeah. See, even the SPC is showing that the front's right here. So if you're behind that front, you're good to go, most likely. You can still see some showers, but you're pretty much good. Because if your front moves through, that means your instability moves out. And you can see that here on mesoanalysis. Now, this is an hour old. We're actually getting a new one. This is an hour old mesoanalysis. And you can see your general front is somewhere out here. I can't tell exactly where, but it's somewhere out here. And that's moved more closer to probably like this area now. Let me see here. What front are we dealing with? I wonder what... Is it a cold front? Warm front? Cold front. It is a cold front. Ooh, interesting. So it seems like this is really interesting here. It seems like the storms out here in Michigan... let me turn off the mesoscale discussions. According to the Weather Prediction Center, we have a low pressure up here, low pressure back here, and then, of course, you have your cold front generally there. But the storms in Michigan apparently are on a dry line, and that dry line's moving southeast. That's what the WPC says. So we actually have like a dry line severe threat there. It's not the dry line threats I love to track. Tomorrow is the type of days I love to track, where we have storms explode along a dry line. That's my favorite. That's a threat I want to chase at least one time. We don't get those in North Carolina. we don't get those in North Carolina at all. We get messy storms all over the place. Let's see here. Yeah, if we're going to see a tornado, it's probably going to be from this storm. Like I said, we have a conditional tornado threat here, thanks to some ingredients, some wind shear that's moving in. And we do have a pretty good storm moving in that area. It's relatively semi-discreet. It has a decent mini supercell look to it. So if we're going to see a tornado threat today, I'm betting it'd be from this storm. This stuff is fired really early, though. I really wasn't expecting this to fire for another hour. Small, but it's very impressive. In northern Illinois, that might be the storm I was just talking about. This one right here. It could try something, honestly, as it moves east over the next 53 minutes or so. It might try to rotate. Let's look at velocity. Yeah, you can see the red here with some gray, but no rotation. Nothing I'd be concerned about for like an imminent tornado. Let's pull out another radar site here. Michigan has been slammed today, y'all. I wish I could have went live for the whole event, but I really wanted to wait. I wanted to wait till sometime after 5. But hopefully everybody's okay. We had a lot of reports. I was talking about it on Twitter a little bit, tweeting on Twitter. And we were having a lot of reports, even a report of a roof collapsed out there. As it was like St. John, Michigan, something like that. Right around the realms of St. John, Michigan. Can't remember the exact name. Yeah, we're going to use Milwaukee's radar site. I do want to go ahead and go back here. Yeah, these storms. Look at these storms exploding. Look at that. That's what do we have over here? Like 6,000 uncapped instability. Let's go check. Yep, right on the dot. 6,000 uncapped instability does right there. Now, there's no wind shear. It's really just a lot of instability. So, mainly should be very small hail and most specifically damaging winds. Is the sun up over here in Japan yet? It's getting there. Look at that. There is our ridiculously large typhoon in southern Japan. I don't know about doing live coverage on this. We've kind of just been talking about it every now and then. A lot of uncertainty on if it's going to be able to directly impact as a major typhoon for Japan or whatnot. So we'll just keep watching it. If there's at some point need for live coverage, we'll cover the typhoon hit in Japan. Also, we might have some flash flooding out here too in northeastern Minnesota. Brain's not braining, just like Caleb said. Oh, Caleb's gonna be very mad. Caleb's about to be really mad. Has he noticed? He did. He did. He did. Well, my weather radio's not screaming at me, so it's not for me. But anyways, we could see some flash flooding here. Just wanted to point that out really quick. But yeah, Caleb, I'm sorry, man. You're not in the severe watch. You're not inside the severe watch. Interesting choice. Honestly thought they would have put a severe watch in this entire area. So that's pretty interesting. It might do another eyewall replacement cycle, but I feel like if it does an eyewall replacement cycle, it's going to be more of just the eye collapsing and becoming smaller. I don't think it would be an intensification. That typhoon's peaking now. I would be blown away if it gets any stronger than that. It's currently peaking now. In yesterday's stream, I said it would either peak tomorrow afternoon, saying, you know, today, or the day after, which would be tomorrow afternoon. That's very confusing. Either the afternoon today or the afternoon tomorrow it would peak in intensity, and it definitely looks like it's peaking now. It could still peak. There's a second area. There is a second area where it may peak. Some models are showing it being near a Category 4 again sometime tomorrow. So it weakens overnight tonight into a Cat 3, then becomes a Category 4 again tomorrow. Right around, let me see. Tomorrow night. So we'll see if that happens. A lot of uncertainty regarding the exact track, though. What the heck? Oh, that's regarding this. Wow. Look at this. We just got a very interesting mesoscale discussion here. The last time we had this, we actually ended up with 80 mile-an-hour winds in Cleveland. Let's see what the SPC is saying about this mesoscale discussion they just issued. These are always weird severe threats because, well, you have lakes in Canada. Like we had an MCD for this area for the potential of a severe watch earlier today. And it was including the majority of it was actually over the ocean, over the lake, I should say, over a lake. And we have the exact same thing, MCD for the potential of a watch here, and it's going to be over a lake. I'm waiting for that MCD to load up on the SPC site. So that way I can read it. I really don't want to read it on GR Earth, which is what we're using right here. Oops, I spelled that wrong. There you go. Let's see. Alrighty. So yeah, we're gonna continue to keep a close eye on this severe threat and see what happens. Give me just a moment. I have to quickly do this. I'm gonna go over here. That's an ad. All right, there we go. I had to just quickly do something. This MCD is still not out. Holy cow. I'm not patient with. I chose the wrong field. I'm an impatient person and I chose freaking weather. How stupid am I? I'm not a very patient person and I chose weather for my field. Dude, that's a pretty dumb choice. SPC says a severe thunderstorm watch may be needed soon. Exactly where are they talking about though? In terms of what part of the severe line? Okay, they're talking about the extreme shoreline of Lake Erie. The extreme shoreline of Lake Erie has the best opportunity for damaging wind gusts as this line moves through. So if you're on the coastal areas, for instance, like Cleveland, Erie, Sandusky, whatever that town name is. Toledo? I feel like it's Toledo. I swear it's Toledo. I've heard of a town named Toledo before. Oh, well, there's our other MCD. 20% chance for a watch. Let's see. Isolated thunderstorms have developed across southeastern Kansas City into northern Missouri, with the environment being favorable from 2,500 to 4,000 instability. Well, there's actually 6,000. Given the favorable instability and steep low to mid-level lapse rates, isolated severe downbursts may become the prominent severe hazard with time. Severe threat may persist into the evening. A watch is not expected. We do have a significant severe for 1.7 at 5-inch hail and 60 mile-an-hour winds here. This is in northeastern Illinois. Toledo, I was right. I swear I've heard of a town name like that, so I just went with the most likely, what I think I've heard. Chicago's threat's not dead, actually. We have a supercell right now going into the northern side of Chicago, but I will admit it's not as widespread as I thought. I haven't been the best with predicting that. It's difficult to predict in summertime, I'm telling you. It is really hard to predict. The SPC, I don't know how they do it, but they end up predicting it right so frequently. Like today, for instance, we have a big slight risk over Michigan. We had a lot of people yesterday that tuned into the stream in Michigan, and I really didn't think we'd see anything over Michigan. I made that pretty clear in yesterday's stream, and just out of nowhere, we saw a line form here, and it really strengthened over, I already forgot Lake Michigan, haha. It strengthened rapidly over Lake Michigan and moved through a very large chunk of the Otherment of Michigan, and I was just very, very shocked about that. And the SPC kept a 15% that whole time. They kept on saying chance for damaging winds, potentially even some significant, over a good chunk of the Otherment of Michigan was possible today. And it happened. It actually happened, even though no model showed it. I didn't see a single model show the threat for significant damaging winds over Michigan today. Until it happened. Let me go over here. So until that front's past you, you'll still have a risk for severe weather. Like I said just moments ago, that front's somewhere out here. Somewhere out in here is that front, that cold front. And until that cold front passes you, you'll continue to have that threat for severe weather. But I don't think it will be nearly as high end as what I initially thought. You might be able to get hit by that storm, though. I mean, it's going to go right to your north. So if it shifts, just a little bit more southeast, you might be hit by the tail end of that storm. So keep an eye out to your northwest. I mean, even right now, see if you can look to the northwest if you have some clear area where there's not so many buildings or trees, probably mostly buildings around you. See if you can look to the northwest, see if you can see massive towering from the severe storm in Woodstock. Do you think I have a chance for a watch later tonight? I don't. It's going to be very isolated today and tomorrow, so I don't think we'll see a watch in Missouri or southwestern Illinois. Thursday looks like a night event. I'll be there. Most likely. If it's a night event, that's good. Because I'll be chasing in the most of the afternoon from somewhere between 1, 2 p.m. all the way through like 5 o'clock. I'll be out chasing. And then I'll come home, eat supper, and then probably hop on here and stream again. Well, I hope you'll get that tomorrow. Northwest Ohio is in a solid risk for severe weather. If you don't get hit by these severe storms tonight, there's going to be another threat tomorrow. Let's see. There is a lot of uncertainty on that, so just keep an eye on tomorrow. But tomorrow is either going to be really big for Ohio and Pennsylvania, maybe even northeastern Indiana, or it's going to be literally nothing. There's two different scenarios. It's going to be either absolutely nothing happens, probably not even rain, or we're going to end up with multiple events of 70-mile-per-hour winds. Let's see. So, I don't know. It's very difficult to predict if this storm's going to hit you out here in northeastern Illinois. But it might not rain. I ain't gonna make any promises on it raining. Let's see. I wonder if that's let's see, that's 6 o'clock, right? Yeah, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. We're just not seeing enough convection. There's a boundary that is set up. Well, not a boundary. Well, yeah, a cold front. It's actually a front. It's not a boundary. It's a front. That front has set up here, and we're just not seeing enough convection. We're getting convection down here on the southern tail of that front in northeastern, north central Missouri. We're getting convection on the very far leading edge of that front up here just to the north of Chicago. But there's a big lack of convection all in the middle. All right in here, there's a big lack of convection at the moment. There's also some absurd outflow from the storms in Michigan. This is Radar Omega's satellite imagery, which is pretty bleh. I'm not a fan of it, honestly. Unless you're looking at hurricanes, then it becomes more handy. They need to add true color, and they need to add visible shortwave. That's what they're missing on Radar Omega. They need to improve their satellite a bit more. We were live for what, like 7-8 hours on July 15th. That was a crazy event. That was a ridiculous event. Yeah, this is nothing like it at all. Nothing even close to July 15th ordeal. You were in a moderate risk that day. Today's a slight risk. Big difference. Big difference. A slight risk means most of the time it means scattered, severe storms, possibly even a few significant. And then a moderate means widespread, significant severe storms. Depending on the risk, because you could have a moderate for like a 15 significant tornado, and then that's going to be, you know, widespread severe storms with significant tornadoes possible. So it depends on the probabilities of the moderate risk. On that particular day, we were worried about multiple spin up tornadoes, even a few strong spin up tornadoes, and widespread 80 to 100-mile-per-hour winds. I believe the max gust we saw on July 15th was somewhere around 115 miles per hour, which was from Peoria, or just southeast of Peoria, Illinois. If this supercell can connect to the outflow boundary, that will help feed in more inflow, which could increase in aid in a tornado threat. Peoria? Peoria? Is that how you say it, Caleb? Caleb lives there, so he'd know. Uh-huh. There he goes. He's getting on me. No skull emoji. I timed Caleb out for that. No, not actually. I wanted to delete his message because he's making fun of me. Dear G, if you were under a moderate risk for severe weather, what would you like it to be driven by? So here's the thing. For a moderate risk, I would love it to be all hazards. Preferably not a 45 sig hail, but shoot, 45 sig hail, 45 sig wind, and a 15 sig tor. I would love that. However, I would only wish it on my open field. We have an open field in my backyard. It'd be great if there could just be a tornado right there and it doesn't hit anything but that one field, that one spot. Because most of the time, when you have a 15 sig tor, unfortunately, it's not going to be tornadoes and just completely open fields. So I wouldn't want a moderate risk for the sense of it would impact people around me too. The only time I want tornadoes is if it's, like I said, in an open field in my backyard, which that will never happen. That will never happen. Oops, hit my mic. Another rant here. That's why I don't get some people on Twitter, because they're hoping that a risk goes high risk, or they're hoping that it becomes a moderate risk. And you know, they're wanting to be hit by a tornado, and some people may not actually properly think that tornadoes aren't going to be, especially on big days, they're not going to be very weak just sitting in an open field tornadoes. They're not something you should wish for or want. But as a chaser, I do want a tornado in my open field in the backyard. I do want that. I do want that. 60 sig hail for a moderate. I don't really know what to say about that. I mean, it is a moderate risk. I get why they don't make that a high risk. But I don't think we've ever seen a 60 sig hail risk. Gotta look it up. That would be ridiculous. I know we've seen a 30 sig tornado risk. Pretty sure we've seen a 30 sig wind risk, or a 60. What's the max wind risk? 60? I don't even know, y'all. Yeah, I think we've seen a 60 sig wind. We've seen a 30 sig tor, but I haven't seen anything about a 60 sig hail threat. We've also seen a 45 sig tor. What about a 60 sig tor? 60 sig tornado. I think we have seen a 60 sig tor risk a long time ago. Yeah. Yeah, back in 2013. I believe we had a 60 sig tor in 2013. I remember pretty sure seeing a 60 sig wind, but never a 60 sig hail. Only 60 sig was April 7th, 2006. I see a 60 sig I don't know how to read the date. It just says 2000Z. 720Z is what you call it. So 07/2000Z on 2013. In 2013. We have seen 60 day 2 risks before. A 60 sig day 2 risk. I do remember that. That was talked about everywhere earlier this year because it was the anniversary of it. So I remember that too. I don't recall a 60 sig hail. But I don't know. I feel like, honestly, now that I think of it, I feel like if we ever do see a 60 sig hail, in my opinion, it probably should be a high risk because it's so rare. It is so rare. Even a 45 sig hail risk is extremely rare, but a 60 sig hail risk, like I said, I haven't heard of that before in terms of actually it being issued. This doesn't look like a notable tornado threat at the moment in terms of rotation, but you can clearly see it is a supercell and a half. It just doesn't seem like it's rotating all that well. May 24th, 2011. I'm going to go look that up. I'm looking that up. May 24th, 2011. Let's see what this comes out to. Let's see. Holy crap, it's a 60 sig hail outlook. And a 45 sig tor. And a 45% wind. I was at a 5% on that day? What? Dude, I got surrounded by damaging winds. Dude, I was targeted on this day. There's just a line of damaging winds that goes right through my area. What was the biggest hailstone on this? Let's see. Did it verify? Let's see. Biggest hail size, 2.75. Let's see if we can find anything bigger. 6-inch hail. It verified. 6-inch hail. Gracious. Multiple events of 4+ inch hail and a 6-inch hailstone. So a 60 sig hail risk actually managed to verify. Wow. Let me show you all this. Here's the outlook. So you can barely see it right here. That's the 60 sig hail, 45 sig tor. Off the screen is a 5% over my house. There's the high risk. There's a 45% wind risk. And if we go to the preliminary reports, you could see I was legit targeted here. Look at this. Just a trail of damaging winds directly over Southern Virginia, right over my house. And you could see the bunch of tornado reports. And just to go to the reports to show you the 6-inch hailstone, see if we can find it down here. There's 4.25. There it is. Giant hail measured at 6 inches in diameter fell through the roof of a church. We always, I don't know why, but we always, like, at the end of these briefings, we always end up looking at severe weather events from the past. I feel like it's at the end of almost every briefing. We look into the past of some big outbreak or something. A new severe watch was just issued. I'm betting that is for Ohio, far northern Ohio. We'll see if I'm right. Well, it should pop up at any second. See if I'm dead right or not. Dead wrong or not. Watch it be some random area. Do we have an MCD in, like, Arizona? Nope. It should be the one in north central Ohio. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen a 60 hail risk. 60 sig hail risk. I'll note that for the next 2 hours and then forget about it and literally repeat this whole entire conversation and exactly what we just did in about a year. Because that's what happened. So, yeah. I guess we've seen it all. 60 sig torr, 60 sig wind, 60 sig hail. We've seen 60 sig day 2 risks. We've seen it all. Given I didn't track any of the risks, though. Because I wasn't really into weather. I've said before, I've loved weather my whole life. I just haven't properly tracked it since 2021. Until 2021. Yeah, but anyways, did that storm disappear? There was a storm to my far south. Yeah, it died out quick. Well, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and share this stream with your family, friends, social media. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We do these briefings and severe weather coverage as often as we can. I'm trying to do a little bit more frequently because I know we're approaching the end of our severe weather season. We're kind of in a lull where these severe weather coverages are really far and few between now. We're in August, September. Typically, we don't see a whole lot of severe weather activity in those 2 months. And then October, November, December, we head on into second season for tornadoes. But severe weather is all year round. It's just we get inactive every now and then. We'll have a full-on week or two without anything notable to track. What risk do you think will be Friday? Marginal. Think it will be marginal. Perfect circle. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Right over Pleasant Hill. This is almost right over Haley. Haley is in Kearney, Missouri, right there. Look at that. Perfect circle outflow boundary right there. One storm initiated it, and that circle outflow boundary initiated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Too many to count thunderstorms. Outflow boundaries can act as a forcing mechanism for additional storm development. They can also act as greater inflow and help supercells become more tornadic. Let's see here. I do want to go ahead and loop really quick. Before I do that, though, I want to go check this one again. There's still no rotation on it, but it's still a supercell. Still looks really solid for severe weather. It's just not actually being able to rotate. On velocities, at least. Let me go back over here. Actually, we just got a report and a visual of this storm. It does appear that it has at least a decent looking base to it. It's difficult to tell if it's a wall cloud or scud. I'm definitely voting more for scud. But it has a really good look to it. A really good supercell look to it. So definitely capable of producing 1.75 inch hail. And it actually just did. 1.75 inch hail report from a trained spotter. That's good news because that means if we do see a tornado drop down over here, we have chasers who are watching it, the cell very, very closely. Let's see. Okay. How's Ohio looking? I don't think y'all will see too much out there unless you're in extreme northern Ohio. Cleveland will probably have some of the best chance for severe weather here. There's a line moving through. This whole line's going to move through. And the southern side, you guys will have a risk for 60-mile-an-hour winds out here in and around the Fremont area. But the very coastal regions, that's very, very weird to say in Ohio, but coastal areas here for Lake Erie, you guys will have a risk for up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. And tomorrow there is a much more notable severe threat. However, it could play out one way. Either we're going to see a very significant severe weather event tomorrow, or we're not even going to see thunderstorms fire. I'm definitely leaning towards a significant severe weather event. You are dead center of that slight risk for severe weather. You may even get upgraded to an enhanced risk for tomorrow, depending on if the SPC increases with confidence in those storms firing. So I would definitely stay hyper weather aware. You could have wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour tomorrow, some small hail up to an inch in diameter, and I wouldn't fully rule out a brief spin up tornado. Like I said before, in eastern Ohio into Pennsylvania. If we get that line to form, it could have some spin up tornadic activity as it moves eastward. Here's a simulated model run for that, just to show you the what could happen tomorrow. Can't English. This is to show you what could happen tomorrow: 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's midnight Eastern, and then of course it leaves Ohio. That's what I think is the most likely scenario, but there is another scenario which is portrayed by this model run, where we go through that exact same time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You can see some thunderstorms, but they all fizzle out, and they're all very weak. Even in this case, we may have an isolated severe storm up to 60-mile-an-hour winds, but I feel like we're going to have a much better scenario of seeing a line of damaging winds as opposed to a very messy, sloppy severe cell. Southeastern, or wait, did you say southeastern or southwestern? Let me go look at that comment. Southwest Ohio. Very isolated thunderstorms tomorrow. Now, I don't think you'll see much tonight. So some isolated severe storms tomorrow. Most likely time for that is about 6 o'clock Eastern. And if it does happen, wind gust upwards of 60 miles per hour and hail up to an inch in diameter will be possible. Tornado threat will be extremely low. Now, that could change. It could change, but that's what we're looking at right now. This is now a TOR possible severe thunderstorm warning. Look at that. It is now a TOR possible severe thunderstorm warning. So if you're in this severe warning, make sure you are indoors, away from doors and windows, and close to your safe spot, as there is a potential area of rotation the National Weather Service is watching on the southern edge of this cell that could attempt at producing a tornado later down the line. It doesn't seem like a notable tornado threat, or else we would have a tornado warning here, and obviously we do not. Most likely to hit Canton. Let's see. Let me zoom in. So about, what did I say, near 8 o'clock tomorrow. Summertime thunderstorms are hard to predict, so that's definitely a general time frame. Really, you could see storms anywhere between 1 o'clock and 9 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, about 8 o'clock Eastern looks to be the most likely time, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. tomorrow for Canton. So yeah, like I said, storms moving generally off to the southeast now. That is, yeah, this has really started to move southeast. That's because this outflow boundary, look at that. It hit the outflow boundary, and so that's going to help sag it more to the south-southeast. You can also see a second outflow boundary that it has begun to form by itself here. So that's going to allow for it to move more, instead of dead east, it's going to move more southeast, right along that outflow boundary. Very low. What, Kevin? Much appreciated, Dog Plays. Stay safe out there. Definitely don't go outside. Let me go up here. I'm looking for other pictures of this here because, well, there's a lot of people in this area. Is that a wall cloud? We might have a, hold on, let's go up to, that's Washington, D.C., not Washington, D.C., Washington State. I said D.C. Washington State had a potential wall cloud. This is the right storm. Let's see on velocities. Look at that. We actually had some green and reds right there. We might have actually had a small wall cloud over far northwestern Washington State, over Renton. If I've looked at this area, it's for probably rain from a atmospheric river, so I've really never tracked that before. It's like the first time I've ever looked at Seattle. Not something I look at frequently at all. A new severe warning. It is a little bit more to the north than I expected. I thought we were going to see a little bit more of a southeastward polygon issued here. Something more like this for a severe thunderstorm warning. Generally like that, of course. I feel like that's going to move outside the warned polygon, but there is now a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for North Chicago. Toward possible 70-mile-an-hour winds now, so it is becoming more of a wind threat, and 1.25-inch hail. So we'll continue to watch this storm closely. We might as well just keep a very close eye on that whilst we're here. If I end, I know for a fact this thing's going to end up being warned or something. So we'll continue to watch that closely. Wall cloud in Washington State in August. Yep. I saw a picture of it, man. I saw a picture of it. It looked like a wall cloud. Maybe it was just the extremely convincing scud that we've been seeing recently, but it had a couplet on radar, and it looked like a wall cloud and a full-fledged miniature supercell. Is it morning yet over here in Japan? I want to see the entire typhoon. Yeah, the eye is starting to shut. Of course. Of course. Now that it's starting to get day in Japan, our eye is beginning to shut. Wow. It already looks really, really considerably worse. Look at the difference here. Very, very symmetrical, well-defined eye wall, and look at now that the sun is starting to rise. It is becoming very raggedy and breaking apart rapidly. Really, really rapidly. It is still completely stationary. I imagine it's going to begin moving here over the next hour. It's going to start slowly moving northwest. This thing's getting a good hook on it again. This time right just to the south of Crystal Lake. Go back to GR2. No velocities in terms of rotation from what I can tell. This may be very, very lower level rotation to the point where the radar ain't even picking it up. And you can see that's your couplet of 70-mile-per-hour winds there. So if we're going to see 70-mile-an-hour winds, which it's warned for that, it's going to be right over here towards Holiday Hills, Oakwood Hills, moving southeast. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that really, really closely. And that is a significant severe, which is a considerable severe. It's commonly called a considerable severe storm. 70-mile-per-hour winds and 1.25-inch hail will be possible with that, and a tornado is also a possibility. There's a lot of complex things to weather. The National Weather Service makes it as easy as they can, but it still ends up being slightly complicated, especially if you're not used to tracking it. You should see Canada. I know I just got my my friend Ethan upset for saying that one. I think it's difficult to track it in the US. Can't even find Canada's weather service up there. Thank you for the kind words, Steve. Much appreciated and glad to have you in here. This is just what I love to do, and helping people out just happens to come along with it, which is awesome. Just started this channel for fun with me and my best friend Lucky, which he's been, if anyone's wondering where Lucky's been, he's been schooling. School has completely consumed his life. He's been very busy with school. Yeah, it's not raining yet because the rain ain't there yet. It's difficult to tell you if this is gonna head right towards your city. You said you're right here. You might barely be nicked. It still looks like it's moving southeast to me, so it still seems like it's gonna head right very close to you. Let me go back over to mesoanalysis. We're going to get another mesoanalysis, which basically is our observations. Let me go further up here. Yeah, we might not see much in central Illinois at all. This may be our only... Oh, hey. Caleb, look out your window, man. Look out your window. Got a little bubbler going up there. We got some rain. Look at it. Look at it. Pretty much the whole state. Actually, you know what? I could just switch it all up here. Pretty much the whole state, with the exception of northeastern Illinois, is without any storms. And then you just have this little blob right over Caleb. Right over Caleb. So, of course, you have your thunderstorm in North Chicago, but there's this tiny little blob right over Caleb. Apparently, he's been talking about it a bunch. Honestly, I'll be real with you, Caleb. Haven't looked at any of your comments. I have not. Put a question mark at the end, and I'm more likely to look at it. Because if there's a question mark, typically it draws my attention, so I can try to answer it. Yeah, Chicago, North Chicago. So here's downtown Chicago. This storm's moving generally like this. Generally like that. So I don't think Chicago is going to see a whole lot unless we could see significant convection pop up. It'd have to be like now too, because you know your cold front's somewhere right in here. It's moving really fast. I don't know exactly where it is, but it's somewhere in here. Moving off, maybe even further east than that, moving off to the southeast, east-southeast like this. I would not be surprised if there's some rotation on the lower levels. Yeah, that's what it seems to be, because they have a tour possible on it. It has a hook, so honestly, I'd be a little bit more surprised if this didn't have rotation, because it has a really solid look to it. A good supercell look to it. This particular cell is pretty rough. It's a considerable severe, which is a level 2 out of 3 for our severe storms. And it's for the potential of 70 mile an hour winds, which is what makes it considerable, as well as 1.25-inch hail and a tornado possible tag. If you don't know, oh, there's a new severe. There you go. There's a new severe. That's what I was expecting them to do before. Like I said, I thought they would issue a big severe like that. Turns out they just did. So there you go. You're now in a severe warning. I know we have someone in the chat from this area. You're in a severe thunderstorm warning now. It is torr possible. It's also considerable for 70 mile an hour winds. So that is just in case it starts moving a whole lot more southeast. Like I said, general storm mode is like this. Moving off to the east-southeast. A little bit more like this. There you go. There you go. Glad to see you in here, Catman. You're back. Did I miss you coming into the stream at first? I don't think I've seen you in here. But welcome back, apparently. Apparently you've already been in here, I suppose. See if we have cameras up here. I'm sure you have cameras in Chicago, right? There's no way. No way y'all don't have cameras in Chicago. Well, there's definitely not a good site for it. Okay, here's one. Can I just find a traffic cameras? No. Man, we were completely blessed by Minnesota's traffic cams yesterday. It's pretty difficult to have a good site like that. Let me see here. What did Catman say? Bro didn't see it. That's sad. Oh, you did! Man, I'm not even gonna lie, Catman. I did brush over that. Let me go over to here. Yeah, 6 months of being an EF2 member. I totally brushed right over that. It's because I dove right on into the severe weather in Michigan. Let's see. See you later, Sam. And your weird Gen Z slangs. I see it, Catman. I see it. Don't worry, you don't gotta message me a bunch of times. Totally didn't message me once. We have 3 considerable severes for this one singular storm. Interesting on why we have 3. Obviously, you know, normally we get 2, but they did 3 because I guess of the counties. I'm pretty sure, is this not the same jurisdiction? Chicago? Is this Milwaukee? Well, let's go over to here because I can't see it. Who issued this? Identify yourself. Chicago. Chicago. Yeah, so they're both Chicago. The only time this normally happens is if it's on the edge of 2 different National Weather Services jurisdictions. So yeah, we'll continue to watch this very closely, see if it can try to produce a tornado. Worst outbreak this year was by far April 26th. I know we did have the Greenfield tornado with recorded winds around like I think someone said it in chat actually. 318. But that was just really one storm that managed to really tap into the environment, whereas the April 26th outbreak was a line of violent tornadoes that moved across eastern Nebraska into western Iowa. One of those tornadoes was actually upgraded to EF4 too. It was a line of strong to violent tornadoes, which is a pretty rare sight in any given year. I still, to this day, don't understand why they didn't put it as a moderate risk. That was the one day that I was completely sold on them issuing a moderate risk. And they kept it enhanced, which I was starstruck by. This storm's definitely moving quicker, and it's looking more outflow dominant. So at this exact moment, the tornado threat seems to have gone down. It's starting to get more of an outflow dominant shape to it. So damaging winds upwards of 70 will most likely become the new primary concern with this. This is in northeastern Illinois. Yeah, Michigan's clear. If you're in Michigan, you're good. You may, depending on how far east, southeast you are, there may still be some light, maybe even heavy rainfall remaining. But Michigan is good for the rest of the night. I don't think we're going to see anything else out there. Catman, did you already see the CanSIPs and specifically the CFS monthly? It's starting to show Dixie Alley coming back. We may have more of Deep South season for 2025. 2025 just seems like a year for a bunch of tornadoes. This year as well. I mean, just the year, the year number itself. Winter 2025. I'm not even interested in winter. I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. Content's going to slow down fast. It is going to slow down fast. We'll definitely still live stream the bigger snowstorms and talk about snowstorms, but I'm not a fan of winter, and I am terrible at it. If you live in the southeast, like in here, this area is most likely going to be snowless. Deep South typically doesn't see snow, but this region here, the Mid-Atlantic, still looks to be snowless for 2025's winter season. It does not look good for my area at all. Now, Illinois, yeah, Illinois, where you are, I might just have to visit. I might just have to visit Central Illinois for a snowstorm, because we're not going to get any down here. How long is this MCS going to last? Well, I mean, there's not... I mean, this is the MCS? Yeah. This is an MCS. It's dying out now. It's going to be pretty weak by the time it gets into Ohio. And considering we're going to lose daytime heating, we're probably going to lose the entire storm by the time we get to 9 o'clock. 9 p.m. Eastern. Within the next 2 hours. It's already dying out a lot. It is already dying out a lot. Interesting. The new HRRR. We'll see how this plays out. The new HRRR has this forming into a very large, significant line of damaging winds as it goes into Indiana and Michigan later on. Or Indiana, Michigan, and eastern Illinois later tonight. When does that start? 10 o'clock? I doubt it's going to happen, but apparently this storm's going to rapidly strengthen into a line of damaging winds. So keep your eye out if you're out here in Chicago, Michigan into Indiana, this general area. It seems like we could have the risk for some damaging winds tonight between 9:30 p.m. Eastern all the way to potentially midnight tonight. We'll see if that happens or not. It is just a model run, but just a little heads up. We might see some damaging winds out there. Better safe than sorry. Just stay weather aware. I definitely will not be live for it. If it's really significant, we'll start up another stream for it. But I don't think we'll be able to. I know I'm not going to stay live that long. This is just supposed to be a briefing, but we extended it thanks to severe weather. We're probably getting pretty close to the end, honestly. We do have still quite a few significant storms happening. 1.75-inch hail on both of these storms in northeastern Missouri. And then, of course, we have our supercell out here going through North Chicago. I don't think that's going to do anything tornadic now. It had an opportunity, but it's becoming less likely now. If it was going to produce a tornado, it would have done it between 6 and 7 o'clock Eastern. And if you didn't already know that, that's already passed. I don't think we know what Enzo phase we're in, Catman. The Enzo phase has been flopping around this whole year. I think we're still in a neutral, but I mean, we've almost been in a La Nina. We've been in an El Nino. We've stayed in a neutral. It's been all over the place. Where the heck is that? What is that? Hold on. Where is this recon at? Let's go to recon real quick. Where are they at? I don't see them anywhere. Pacific, maybe? Okay, that's where they are. Got it. Got it. So that's the remnants of, what was that hurricane called? Oh, yeah, Tropical Storm Gilma. Now it's Tropical Storm. It became invisible again. Yep. You want me to look at some photographs? I mean, sure. Let's see here. I guess we could use the NAM. The NAM model in northern South Dakota, which is the most likely area for initiation tomorrow. North Central South Dakota. That's a lot of directions. Alright, we'll see what that shows. We'll wait for this sounding to load up. I still have so many useless tabs open. Gracious. Well, that's contaminated. Useless. Useless. We're going to use it anyways. I wonder, it shouldn't be contaminated. I pulled it in the open warm sector, but it's contaminated. Welcome to the NAM 3K. Here's your sounding for tomorrow. Like I said, could be one of the bigger tornado days we've had so far this month, with exception to August 5th. Um, really good photograph. That is a bad temperature dew point spread. That is very, very elevated. That is a very elevated temperature dew point spread. Definitely favoring large hail as opposed to tornadoes. Lapse rates also will favor large hail. So this is definitely looking more like I'm about to produce 3-inch hail sounding right here. Matter of fact, look at all the hail analogs. You can see all of them. 4-inch hail, 2.75, 2.75, 2.75. Look at all of them. So this definitely looks a whole lot more of a hail day. We'll see that temperature dew point spread tomorrow. We'll see what it looks like at 5, 6 o'clock. But a 21 degree temperature dew point spread is a lot more of an elevated storm structure. It's going to be a lot more difficult for storms to actually produce tornadoes. It looks like if we get an enhanced risk tomorrow, it's probably going to be for a 30 sig hail like we had yesterday. That is just based off one sounding, but that is a solid hail sounding right there. We could pull another one. Let's pull another one in central South Dakota, and we'll pull one in south central North Dakota. So this one's going to be in south. This one's going to be in more central South Dakota. I'm getting myself confused over here. Still contaminated. Still contaminated. Capped out to death. Gracious. But a bunch of hail analogs. Still a bad temperature dew point spread. Better, but still pretty bad. That still is screaming large hail. This one's in North Dakota. Better. Much better photograph. Still pretty rough temperature dew point spread, but that is a much better sounding. That's in North Dakota. South central North Dakota. Which is where the HRRR has a line of tornadic supercells firing. So it looks like North Dakota is going to be probably the best spot. South central North Dakota. Wow. Look at the ingredients on the new HRRR. Or I shouldn't say the new one. This is the 18Z, actually. That is actually pretty... That's pretty high end. That is 13. That is pretty high end. We would see a much higher end probability tornado risk from the SPC if it wasn't for this messy storm mode. That messy storm mode is going to allow for a lessened tornado threat. We'll cherry pick it on the NAM. We'll full-blown cherry pick this thing. Look at this. We are cherry picking this to death. This is fully cherry picked. We're probably going to wrap up the stream here in about 3 minutes or so. We'll start concluding. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Share the channel with your family, friends, social media. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button. We'll be live for tomorrow's severe threat in the northeastern U.S. as well as in the north central U.S. That is a really good sounding. That is much more favorable for tornadoes, too. The lower level lapse rates are a little bit lacklustering, but that is a much more favoring tornado sounding as opposed to hail. So, that's fully cherry-picked on the 18Z NAM. All right, let's go back over here. We'll get new models later on tonight. I'll definitely be up staying up to watch those. My goodness. Yeah, Caleb, if I went any more than 2 hours today, no kidding what sentences I'd start creating. I'd probably make up a whole new word or something. My word. But we're going to conclude here. I'm going to take another look at this storm, make sure it ain't doing anything funny. Yeah, it does seem like it's still significant for damaging winds, some large hail, but that tornado threat's definitely decreased with it. And then we are starting to see storms become severe again out here in Ohio. Thankfully, that line is a lot weaker, so the primary threat will probably be in Cleveland, pointing to the west, somewhere in this general area. So, yeah, I don't know, Caleb. It'll just depend. I'm not gonna make any promises on returning tonight. But we did cover a lot of this severe threat. After 9 o'clock, everything should start to die down as the sun sets. But we might still be able to see a significant wind gust out of this storm here as it moves off to the east-southeast. So that's going to be the primary area I watch for another 3-4 hours, however long I stay up. And if it's needed, I'll decide if it is needed as well. We may come back on here tonight. But yeah, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up the stream. We'll be back here tomorrow. I don't know exactly when. We're going to aim to cover the North Dakota and South Dakota threat more than the northeastern threat for tomorrow. So we'll aim to be live at 6 o'clock Eastern, right around when we started today. We started a bit early, actually. We started at 5:20. But we'll aim to be live tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern time. But we could be live anywhere between 3 and 9 p.m. But we'll aim for right in the middle, 6 o'clock, when those storms are most likely to pop off. Bit of a flash warning as this loops in the background, loops what we covered on this stream here. And we're going to go ahead and switch to the ending screen. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was greatly appreciated having you here. Really appreciate you guys sharing the stream. We reached just about 1,000 people with the word of severe weather today, which is greatly appreciated. I know the thumbnail was for tomorrow's severe threat. That's because I really was mainly planning on doing a 1-hour briefing today, but it did turn into coverage thanks to that storm in Chicago. So yeah, thank you, mods, for mod in chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And that is going to be it. Also, I appreciate Storm and Storm Dakota and Catman for renewing their memberships. They're both on track for the exact same membership. Storm and Catman, 6 months in on their membership, being an EF2 member. And my apologies for the lack of member content. We're just doing so many streams and videos. I'm not able to do member content at this moment. Maybe that will be something that returns a lot more in the winter. We'll see. But anyways, stay safe. Watch severe weather of the tropics. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's live stream. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics. I'll see you guys tomorrow.